Hi there and welcome to another PSD Tuts Spoon-Fed Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele and I'm going to be taking you through designing a typographic concept poster created by Constantin. This is one of the tutorials from the past and it's got a really great final result here. And the tutorial is really just about positioning elements, using a bit of blur, using a bit of texture, just to kind of come up with a concept for maybe a final poster to take a little bit further. But a really great idea, and there's all of the steps as usual and all the files are linked to over on the tutorial and really well explained. So do check out all of the files. You've got typewriter here, we've got some cloud brushes, some more that I've found or that I've used, and that's basically it. We've also got some textures as well. Let me just grab those. They are Princess of Shadows. And again, they're linked to on step 2. And again, they're from DeviantArt, so check those out, give them a little nod and add them to your collection, and I'm sure they'll all appreciate that. So let's get started. Well, we're going to start off with these two textures, and I'm going to load up Photoshop and see what we've already got. So this is my final attempt at what I came up with. So let's take that off. You can see I've got my own little clouds that I've brought in from brushes. We've got our typewriter, our letters. Let's just zoom into 100%. And we've got this really cool effect of the letters going across the top and breaking away from the keyboard, from the typewriter, sorry. And if you have a look at the typewriter, it really works well. It blends in with the final piece, and just two little simple techniques to get that to work. And that's it. So let's get started. I'm just going to minimize that and bring this one up like so. So I'm going to quickly open those two textures. They'll just pop in like so, and I'm going to drag those straight in. So drag them onto the canvas, position them. Let's just zoom out a bit. Command T to resize them. Let's bring that up. Like so. And then hit enter. And then let's grab our second. And again, V on the keyboard, drag it straight into the canvas. Command T. And we can just reposition that. Like so. And whichever one you put on the top, you're just going to simply set to multiply. And it's just going to tie and blend those two images together. So let's bring that down and bring that down. And you can play around with a bit of the vignette around the sides. But I'm pretty happy with that. It's nice, really nice textures to get a nice grunge effect or a darker, deep effect. So once we've done that, next thing to do is to grab our typewriter. And again, I've got that loaded up down here. I've already cut out the background. Now let me show you the original and how easy that was to cut out. Because it's on a white background, the tutorial says just grab the magic wand, click on that white area. I'm going to invert my selection, Command-Shift-I. And then Command J to make a new layer out of that selection. And then V on the keyboard, we're going to drag that in. And let's resize that. And right click, flip horizontally. And let's bring it down to the bottom left. Down here. And let's get rid of the original. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the position of that. So with this layer, we're going to set it to multiply and 90%, but I'm just going to rename it quickly. And we're going to set that to multiply and 90%. Now, duplicate that layer, set this new layer to soft light, and again we're going to reduce that down to 30%. and then hit enter. And let's have a quick zoom in. You can just see we've darkened it, some of the textures coming through, and it just really blends really, really well into our background texture. Okay, that looks great. Next thing to do is we're going to type whatever the phrases you want to have across the middle of your text. So we're going to be using Arial to start with. Where are we? There we go. So caps lock on. I'm just going to type alphabet, and we're going to make that really, really big. About there. Let's bring it in just a bit. Okay, let's use Arial Black. Maybe down to about 100. Yep, that looks fine. And I'm just going to set this to white, and maybe set it to lower the opacity right down. I might change that, but for now that looks pretty good. It might need to be a little bit taller, and we're going to use this layer as a guide to add all the other text. So I'm just going to zoom out and have a look at that text. Okay, and what I've actually done is I've created a folder up here, and I've separated each of these letters. So if I turn this off, I've separated each of the letters onto their own layer, and again I've just played around with the positioning a little bit. I've just kind of made it a little bit more claustrophobic. You can see the letters are really, really close to each other. In fact, the L's are slightly overlapping the P, and so if I double click on them, we've got Arial Black set to 166.17 points, and that's kept nice and crisp. So I just copied the A across for here, and then just built up the word itself. They're all set to soft light with an opacity of 50%. Now the next thing to do is to zoom in onto your letter A, and using this as a guide, now we're going to be using much, much smaller writing. We're going to have this set to something like 3 points just for now, and let's make sure we're not on this layer. So I'm going to create a new layer, a new folder, sorry. And we're not going there. Let's just zoom out so I'm not selecting the original letter. There we go. And we're going to type, I don't know, we'll type human. And we're going to set this to be black. And we're going to go for American typewriter. Okay, and again we're going to reduce that right down. And just start to slowly position these. Into our letters. Now, obviously it's going to take me a long time to fill in all of the letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away, get those letters in there, come back, and then just talk you through some of the things that we had to do along the way. And here we are, as if by magic, we've got all our letters in place. And let's just zoom in. So we can see the original human that I've got inside that group. Let's just turn that off, and now we can stick that in the bin. Excuse me, hopefully we can see all those letters have all been typed up. And there's little things we had to do along the way. So, for example, couple of the words that we want to stand out to maybe make the quote. So of all the achievements of the human mind, the birth of the alphabet is the most whatever, and so on. So we're just highlighting that sentence from within what would seem a random list of words. Down at the bottom we've got some of these letters breaking away. We've got some of them going on to different angles. We're just simply rotating each of those so that they fit in with that shape, that background shape that we did. Really simple technique, but you can see it, it makes a really, really great effect. And in the final tutorial, you might want to leave our original alphabet on, or you might want to turn it off. I think it looks pretty good with it turned off. Kind of makes you, think a bit more about what the original word says, maybe look at it a little bit harder. So once you're happy with your word that's been made up of all those letters, the next thing we need to do is to add the gap, or the fill in the gap that joins our typewriter with our alphabet. And in order to do that, all we're going to do, I'm just going to rename that fill text for now. We're just going to grab our text tool, again still an American typewriter, and we're going to click on here, I'm going to type the letter A, and it's really, really tiny. Just going to move that down here. Let's just increase the size, and okay, so there's our A. Now Alt click on it and we can move a couple of these around. Command T, we can rotate them and just give them the idea that they're falling or coming out of our typewriter. And then go back to T, we're going to grab X and do it just exactly the same way. Transform it, rotate it, hold down Alt, and drag that round a few times. And we kind of want the letters to come from here and out on a kind of V. So they're coming from the center area, coming out. And then we're going to vary the size of these letters. So again, if I add a H, let's say, and I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Again, Command T, rotate it. And so on. And with the smaller ones, we can apply just a tiny little bit of blur. So if I come into this H here, or let's do this A up here. Okay, we're going to go to rasterize it first. So if you right click on the layer, come down to rasterize type, and then I'm going to just give a little bit of blur, Gaussian blur, and maybe just 1 pixel, like so. And do that with the smaller letters, so that they get a bit more in focus as we come to the bigger letters. And then we're going to add some larger letters over the top. So again, I'm going to go away and add all of those letters. We're going to add a fair chunk, and I'll go through each of those. And as you can see, I've gone ahead and added all of those letters, and what a difference it makes to the final piece. With some of the larger letters on the side, I've done exactly the same as I did with that smaller letter and all the other smaller letters. I've applied just a faint little blur to those, and again, change the amount of blur, a bit more blur the closer that you want them to be out of focus and closer to the eye, and slightly less blur as they get further away from you. And you can see we haven't really got any letters over here to the side. It's all coming out from the center, and a couple of my H's kind of look like they don't really belong. And I put them all in a folder called text, so I'm just going to grab that all the way down to there and stick them in. Now, if I just show you inside that text folder, you can see all of the letters. There's absolutely loads of them. And then every now and again, you've got a couple which have been rasterized and had a bit of blur applied to them, or 2 or 3 pixels max, I think, for the Gaussian blur. So that's all of our text. let's just zoom out. And the last couple bits to do are add a bit of cloud. So download those cloud brushes, bring them in, head over to your new group. Let's call this group Clouds. Grab a new layer, white brush, and down at the bottom of your layers palette you should have all of those new brushes being added, and then it's just about selecting the right one and the right size and just clicking and adding those to the final image. So I'm going to grab a couple of these on the edge, and then maybe one little small tuft of cloud in the middle. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good, and that just ties everything in and ties everything together, and that's the tutorial in a nutshell. A really nice quick tutorial from Constantin. It's just about bringing all those pieces together, playing around with the text and the font, putting all that text in. Choose a short word, because doing it for a word the size of alphabet is going to take you a really long time. And you can add little things like this little cracked up piece up here. Again, just set it to multiply, erase the edges. We've got some final little text down the bottom, but overall I think it's a really great piece and a really nice little tutorial. So do attempt that, and I'd love to see what you do with it. I've been Gavin Steele, taking you through PSD Tut spoon-fed Photoshop tutorial of designing a typographic concept poster by Constantin. Thanks very much.